This boy and girl are going to be well equipped when the time comes to take their places as worthy members of adult society.
Aloha, y'all. This is Daniel Eisenman, the host of the Breaking Normal podcast, where my guests are all invited based on the frequency of synchronicity, all done in person, and all trailblazers in the breaking of all things normal.
Hey, Ret 3.0. Welcome back to the Breaking Normal podcast for the third time. It's not every day that happens. I think it's happened once before, but it's not every day that I'm not even sure if any of my guests have went to Africa to do lion tracking. And that's when I interviewed you last, was right before that trip. Welcome back to America.
Yeah, great to be back. It was, we dove into it on the last episode. It was super fun, and now I'm back, haven't done it, and it feels good.
Yeah, so I for people, especially that they listen to that episode and they're excited to hear about what happened, I'm not sure where you want to begin or if you want to give a few highlights. Was it what you were anticipating or more or different?
Yeah, and I hope we're going to do an episode here that people don't have to listen to both. So I came back with so much newness and insight, and really transformed from the last time I sat here a couple months ago. And but yeah, we'll bring. I'd love to share all those insights, and it doesn't have to be part and parcel with the other one.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, the way I remember it is you had a major synchronicity that led you to this calling, to adventure.
Yeah,
with Boyd Varty, am I remember his name?
Boyd Varty. Yeah.
Boyd Varty.
Author of the Lion Tracker's Guide to Life, one of my favorite books.
And you also expressed your passion around Misogi. Say it again.
Misogi. Yeah.
Misogi.
Read the hat. There we go.
Oh, right in front of my face. I was so enthralled by your eyes.
Likewise.
And this seems to be like just fill so many desires of yours for all in one go.
Yeah.
I felt like when I was listening to you, this felt like it may have been one of the biggest trips of your life.
It was. And, saying yes to it was also one of the biggest things I've done for myself. I had this vision 3 summers ago. I went and did a vision quest in the Utah desert, sat out on this cliff edge above the Escalante River, and sat there for 4 days with no food, just a sleeping bag, a chair, and not much else, but a lot else. All the nature, all the time, all the simplicity, and all the resonance that doing something like that can bring. And so, at the end of that time from not eating, I was kind of starting to hallucinate. And I'm sitting there in the desert, and it's kind of the end of the 3rd day. I've got one more night to go. And this big rock I've been looking at, it's this big red sandstone rock, sort of starts to turn into an elephant. And the elephant, as I shared last time, it kind of is looking back at me over its shoulder, and it's saying, come on, we got to go. We got to go to Londolozi Game Reserve in the wild eastern corner of South Africa. And that's exactly what it said, verbatim. And then, that felt like a vision. I put that energy out into the universe. I fed it a few times over the last few years. And then last October, right before selling my business, I was introduced to a amazing guy, Janis Cherkis, who invited me to come with him to go to Londolozi Game Reserve in the wild eastern corner of South Africa. He said it the same way that the elephant said it to me. And I was, saying yes to that felt really, really good.
Yeah, I don't know how someone would say no at that point. And yes doesn't sound easy. Yes sounds like it's going to bring up a lot.
It was a big buck drop. Like, it was, that was the only reason I might have hesitated, but I didn't. And I'm really grateful I didn't, because it was so worth it. It was so worthwhile. And we went, I met up with 5 other guys in Cape Town, and we had a blast in Cape Town. We got kind of acclimated to the time zone. We got to know each other. I mean, these are the guys I would spend the next 5 days with, and actually the next 9 days with. 5 at Landalosi, a couple days at the beginning in Cape Town, and a couple days in Johannesburg, and great people. And we all went super deep right away. And Janusz really set the container for that, to go deep and to get way beyond the, hey, what do you do? So that felt really good. Yeah.
Have you been to South Africa before this?
No.
Okay, this is your first time.
Yeah, never been. Like doing a safari felt cool, but it wasn't super high up on my list. If the world was my oyster and time and money were not a thing, yes, I'd go do a safari, but it wasn't like the thing I wanted to go do. And if this had been all that was, a safari, I would have zero interest. Just wouldn't be in my world right now. But it was so much more than a safari. It was going with other people who resonate with Boyd Varty's work, and then spending that time on the land from that book with Boyd, the author of the book, and actually learning how to track lions and rhinos. And not only with Boyd, but with Renius Malongo and Alex Vanderheeven, who are both in the characters in the book. And Renius is probably the world's best animal tracker in the whole world. He's got to be in his like late 60s, maybe 70s. And he's kind of like the last person to grow up this way. As when he was a kid, when he was your daughter's age, he was out there finding the kill of lions, the ibex or the oryx or whatever a lion would kill. He was out there with his brothers finding where the lions had made a kill, and then running in with sticks, fighting off the lions or scaring off the lions so that they could slash off a piece of meat and bring it home so that they could eat that night. And so that's how he learned how to hunt lions.
Were they using this specific like weighted club with a ball and a little nipple at the end of it?
Yeah.
Do this?
Yeah, they have like tracking sticks.
Okay.
And they use those to like circle the tracks in the dust or the dirt. And then, as Boyd says, in extreme cases, they use it to ram down the throat of a lion who's got you by whatever.
Do you know what the name of this stick is? I have a couple of these.
I don't know what the name is. They just call it a tracking stick.
Okay, maybe next time I'll bring one in.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, wow.
Yeah, but
so this guy, what's his name again?
Renius,
wow. Okay. You hear that? 8 around Davina's age? That's crazy.
Yeah.
I like that. What a different upbringing.
Yeah. And in order to find the kill, he'd have to find the lions, and he would do that by tracking them. And so Renius grew up tracking. It was out of necessity. And he's probably, one of the last people on earth to have to do that. To have to. Not by choice, but to have to. And this is the way people ate for eons. Go find what a better hunter has killed, and then go take some of it.
And it's the same. It's still a concern today with hunters in certain areas. Like if you have made a kill, what about the lions and the bears?
Yeah. The last challenge in the Tracker Academy, which is this beautiful, beautiful nonprofit that Renius and Alex put together to help teach the skills of trackers and to give job opportunities to South Africans who want to go and become trackers at safari game reserves. Not hunting, but finding animals in order for the tourists to go and enjoy them and take photos and such. The last boss in this year-long program is you got to go out, and I think it's a springbok or you got to shoot some kind of deer.
Okay.
Let's call it a springbok.
Okay.
And then you got to bring it back. And the hunting and the shooting of the deer, that's the easy part. The bringing it back through lion and hyena and leopard territory, that's the challenge.
That sounds scary.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like the graduation.
That's the graduation, yeah.
Experience of this program.
Exactly.
Are you thinking about doing this program?
I would love to. It's only for South Africans, though.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for job placement. And
when one of those South Africans get trained, are me and you able to get trained by one of those guys? Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I was just thinking I'm into this.
Yeah, well, me too.
Tracking. I want to go take a walk with you.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing some tracking since getting back on really right up from your favorite creek spot on the north face of Flagstaff Mountain. There's a bunch of game trails. Yeah.
Okay. So you're already implementing this.
Yes. I mean, I've always been a bit of a tracker, just curious. And up where I live, we have mountain lions. And I like to track those in the snow, which is very easy. But Londolozi was super special. We got there, and the very first thing we did was a 2.5-hour safari silent. So we get in the vehicle, it's late afternoon and going on a safari, but you're not allowed to say anything. It was incredible. This was our way of like grounding. And within 20 minutes, we came across a male leopard. And that leopard looked straight through me. It looked right in my eyes and looked straight through me. I mean, into my fucking soul.
Had you seen a leopard prior to this?
No, man, never.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is this, like a black leopard, a spotted leopard?
Spotted leopard, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
What would you associate that? Like, have you ever had an experience like that before? Or what's the closest thing that you could tie it to?
To a bear in the wild.
Okay.
But this leopard, we're sitting in this vehicle, and that would be one of the last times we sat in a vehicle. Mostly we were on foot, except to like get from here to there. This leopard was 4 feet away, walked right by the vehicle. I mean, you could smell it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
There's something about being in the presence of a powerful predator like that and its environment.
Definitely. I mean, I saw lots of elephants and giraffes, and they were super special, but they didn't look right through my soul.
And why do you think that is? Like, why do you think that leopard has the capacity to look through your soul, unlike other animals?
I think we allow it. We put a cachet on the leopard, the lion, the tiger, the bear. I might have misspoken. The elephants, the giraffes, I loved seeing. And we were just like zooming by them, not even paying them much attention. And I loved seeing those animals. And so there was just something about landing there that night, and then essentially knowing that there's only one leopard in many, many, many square miles. And yet there's many oryx and springboks and zebras. And
I think that's a good context. I think that context is part of the reason why.
Yeah.
There's something about a lone leopard.
Yeah. And there's people far more eloquent than I who could give you the power of the leopard. But I find a lot of power in all the littler animals. We did somebody brought along the animal power deck. It's like you pick a card and you're choosing an animal, and then you can read about that.
Okay.
It says, and I picked the kangaroo, and I was like, man, I wanted like something badass, And the kangaroo was just perfect for me. It's absolutely perfect to a T.
Have you been around kangaroos?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, kangaroos are crazy.
Yeah. Down in Texas, I did a retreat on a billionaire's ranch, and he had kangaroos hopping around and zebras, and it was wild.
You attended a retreat, or
I hosted a retreat.
Oh, wow.
I facilitated a retreat. He hosted it.
Okay, how many of those have you done?
I've done that quite a few, actually.
Okay, do you have one coming up on the radar?
Yeah, actually, I'm leading a vision quest in Utah.
Oh, wow.
in September, October. I shared my story about what took me to Londolozi.
Mm-hmm.
I said it was a vision quest that inspired me to go there, and I shared this with a lot of men, and men in particular would stop me and say, "Wait, you spent time just sitting in nature, and it was all just about simplicity and silence?" Yeah, They go, I need that. I need that. Please. I need that. Help me. And so I'm really called to go do another vision quest this fall. And I want to go back to my sacred place in the Escalante Grand Staircase National Monument. And I'm bringing some people along. Just a handful, invitation only kind of thing. But yeah, it's going to be really powerful. And then if it goes well, I'll probably do a lot more.
And will you be facilitating them doing what you've done there?
Yeah.
Like a 4-day water only?
Yeah.
3-item, if I remember correctly.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
And they'll be like scattered by themselves?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I'll set the container and we'll have, we'll have some conversations before. We'll have a bit of a ceremony the night before. The intention will be set. And then we'll each go to our respective spots, separate from each other. And we'll do a 3 full day. So, go in on the morning of the first day, come out on the morning of the 4th day. And spend that time just being and waiting for the visions to come and allowing them to come and removing distraction so that they can come.
You mean like they'll have no phones and such?
Oh, yeah. No phones. Phones, no water. Or sorry, no phones, no food. All they'll have is water, a little camp chair, a sleeping bag, a mat. I think we'll do tents. Tents are mainly just to keep distractions away, which could be bugs or rain. But otherwise, you sleep outside and you have a fire on the last night and you burn the things you want to leave behind. You write it down and you throw it in the fire and you leave it there.
Wow. That sounds like it's going to be transformative for that tribe.
It has been for me.
Yeah.
Each of the 3 times I've done it.
Even signing up for that's going to be transformative.
Absolutely.
Just to commit to it.
Yeah. As soon as you commit, you're in the medicine, as they say. It's like the ceremony is just the ceremony, but there's all the lead up to it too. And then there's the integration afterward. And one of the reasons why it's there in Escalante is because it's an 8-hour drive. And it's a commitment to get there. And part of this is committing to that. And that windshield time is really, really good for you. If it was 45 minutes away, you still have text messages you need to get back to. So the fact that it is out there makes it that much more special and sacred. And then you've got an 8-hour drive home where you can really process it. And we'll have some fun afterward too. For me, doing something that serious, I've got to balance it with fun right afterward. And so there's amazing creek and river, there's waterfalls, there's cliff jumping, there's great food, canyoneering, and we'll have some fun right afterward too.
Wow. That sounds really exciting. I'm happy.
Yeah.
And that's happening, and you said September?
Yeah, late September.
Wow. That'll probably be, is that a nice time of the year to be there?
Gorgeous.
Okay.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best time.
But where is it not the best time at the end of September?
Yeah, right?
I've been trying to think about that. There's so much competition for September and October.
There really is, yeah.
Yeah.
It pains me to leave Colorado in those times.
Yes, because I think, if I was going to be judgmental, I think that might be my favorite time of the year.
Absolutely.
Yours too.
Oh, yeah.
Here in Boulder.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the spring and I love the summer and I love a good snowy day, especially like when the sun's out.
Oh, yeah.
Those are epic, but something about that like month period where all the foliage is and the apples and pears are falling on your head.
Yes. It's crisp and you can just count on perfect weather.
And the creek is still somewhat warm from the summer.
Exactly.
And so when the sun comes out, it's still a beach day.
Yeah, totally. Especially for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. All right. So I'm so curious about the trip. Is there anything else you want to tell us about the trip? Because I probably have a few questions about it.
A couple, big takeaways. One was, I learned how to not just listen, but hear. So I've always considered myself a good listener. But I didn't realize the depth to which one can actually hear. And I realized this after tracking 2 male lions on the morning of the 3rd day. And, we were walking along at a pretty brisk pace, kind of mimicking the pace of the lions that were out ahead of us, maybe a mile or 2. And we could tell that they were hunting. Well, I couldn't tell. Renius could tell. Renius could tell that they were hunting, that they were moving pretty quickly. He could actually tell that they weren't really from that land. He could tell that they were kind of strangers to the land, new lions on the property. And we were walking at a pretty brisk pace. We were tracking the lions. They were mostly on this road. It was very easy to track them. And then I felt this shift, like just this electric charge in the air. And we all felt it. And we all got much more quiet. We all started moving a lot slower. We all kind of came together as a group. And we tracked that way for 20 minutes or so. And then another shift happened. And we all got even more quiet, more slow, more intentional. And then 2 minutes after that, we spotted the 2 male lions asleep in the field in front of us. And we got to go and see the lions. We had this beautiful encounter with them. They got to stay asleep and not truly bothered by our presence. And it was kind of like a win-win for both, like lions and trackers. The lions got to stay asleep. We got to enjoy them, have this beautiful memory for the rest of our lives. Then we got in the safari vehicle and we were driving back, and I was sitting next to Renius, and I just kind of asked him this question. He's like, yeah, the lions, they were telling me. I was just listening to them. Just listening. Yeah. He was just like, he was seeing the track, but he was listening to the track. And at first they were telling him, we're moving quick, we're hunting now. You can follow along, keep up. And then that first shift was, all right, we're starting to get tired. We're going to look for a place to take a nap now. And he heard that from the lions. And then the second shift was when they said, okay, we found our spot. So you can come and see us, but be cool, all right? Like, just don't wake us up and don't be dicks, all right? And Renius could hear that. And so we got to have this beautiful encounter where the lions didn't have to, run off and hide somewhere else or get aggressive. And we got to see them and feel them. And it was all just from listening. And I was thinking, what was he listening to? It was the track. It was the time of day, the birds up ahead, the 70 years of experience doing this. And it was just such a deep, deep listening. It was an actual hearing. And so as a coach, the best thing I can do for my clients is to be present and listen. And this was a massive lesson for me. This was such a valuable insight that pretty major financial investment was, I 10x'd it in that moment, in that learning. And it was beautiful. And there were lots of other things too. On the second to last night, Boyd said, guys, we're not going back to the lodge. We're going to camp out tonight. And he said it in a way that sounded like he might be joking. And I was like, oh, please don't be joking. Like, please don't be joking. And everybody else was like, please be joking. But we went and we had this beautiful camp, and we had this great dinner, and Boyd said, listen, we're going to have to post a guard, somebody to stand watch, throughout the night. And he says, the guides don't do that, so you guys figure that out. And so we figured, all right, we'll each need like an hour and a half, and I'll take from 12 to 1:30, and cool. Yeah. And I got woken up, and immediately it felt right. Like, it just felt right. I stood up, I went and stoked the fire a little bit. I poured myself a cup of tea. I shined the flashlight around to see if there were any eyeballs, because lions and hyenas can come into the camp and cause some trouble. And, no eyeballs. So I go and I sit down by the fire, and I'm sitting there with my cup of tea, and I'm hearing the sounds of the the men sleeping around me. And I realized with all the crazy stuff I've done in my life, I've never stood watch, never stood guard. And I realized that this was something that our ancestors did all the time. And they would wake up in the middle of the night and they would be by themselves with their thoughts in nature, surrounded by their tribe, their people, and they'd have that time for themselves. And the people sleeping would know that there was somebody standing watch over them, protecting them. And you, as the watcher, feel this deep sense of responsibility and worthiness and usefulness. And I realized that this has been robbed from us. We no longer have this opportunity that all of our ancestors lived by. And it's one of those things that feels like we feel something's off and we can't put our finger on it. And this is one of those things. This is in our DNA. It's written in us. And it's been stripped away from us by modern conveniences. But it just felt so right and so real and so good. And the person who stood watch before me, Kevin, he wrote me a letter. And it was a beautiful letter. And it touched my soul. And then I wrote the next guy a letter. And then we woke up to learn that everybody had written each other a letter. And it was, for each of us, 6 men, it was one of the highlights of the trip, was getting woken up in the middle of the night to stand watch.
Who went first, Kevin or?
I can't recall.
Okay.
Let's call it Andrew. I think Andrew went first.
And then he
got kind of robbed of that experience.
Yeah.
Of, getting woken up and
I'll write him a letter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I have a lot of questions about that whole experience. And I'm like thinking about, I don't think I've ever done that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever done
Unless you're a sailor or a soldier these days, you're not standing guard for anything.
I've done it like, when Davina was a baby, waking up in the middle of the night, but that's different. That's more like caretaking to stand guard. So that was my question. What was one to do if a hyena or a lion, like you kind of wake everyone up, or like what?
Yeah, you just kind of like walk toward them with the flashlight. And
wow.
Yeah. And if that didn't work, Boyd and Alex both had rifles.
Wow. And then that did not happen.
No, they had these rifles. They must have each been 40 years old. And I don't think they've ever been shot at an animal, maybe at target practice, but they've never had to use their rifle.
Yeah, that sounds like a very nurturing kind of sacred experience. It reminds me of like the Vision Quest, or it reminds me of going on a hunt. It reminds me of one of these experiences that sounds like it would awaken some sort of like remembering.
Yes, and that's the word I've been using, a remembering. All of Africa was a remembering. That was where we started, and it felt like a remembering. And that act of tracking animals with other men in a pack felt like a massive remembering.
Yeah, I'm remembering I did once go pig hunting for pigs with dogs in a group of guys, and I will never forget that.
Yeah,
I didn't. I now I have more remembering to do about that experience after talking to you, because that was such a significant experience that I almost like want to check in with those guys and be like, how have you digested this and assimilated this 6 years later?
Yeah,
because I still think about it.
Yeah. Because it's primal. It's in you. It's what we did. It's what we're made for. We are hunter-gatherers. And we would do this with other men, and we'd have a shared mission, and we'd go out, and then we would gratefully, when it worked out, we would harvest an animal, and then we would put it up on our shoulders, and we'd all walk together with bare skin, bumping up against each other, touching each other, essentially. And men, we don't ever touch each other anymore. God forbid we touch each other. But we would, and that's why wrestling and judo and jiu-jitsu, like, that strikes a chord with some people, because this is, again, another thing that's been taken from us because of where we are now at this point in society. It's enough to leave a man feeling really hollow, and a woman as well. And because we don't get out there, a lot of us don't know what we're missing, and we fill it with all types of artificial shit.
Did y'all actually hunt, or how?
No.
When you said you harvested an animal, like from a farm?
Like one would. When people would go out, when you went out.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
But throughout history, when we would go hunting, and if we were successful, going back thousands and hundreds of thousands of years, there's no hunting whatsoever at Landolosi, and that's the point. So the animals there, and they feel safe around humans.
Okay.
That's why we can go and view them. That's why a leopard could walk within 4 feet of the vehicle.
What did y'all eat? What was food like down there?
It's amazing.
Yeah, well...
Yeah, I mean, this place, Landolosi, is like probably the top game reserve in the whole world.
Okay.
It's like there was a butler, the food was out of this world. Everything was spectacular, and everything we did was around a campfire.
Also remembering
right
there. That one helps. Of all things I've done somewhat consistently, sitting around a campfire is definitely one of those moments I was talking about, where there's like a DNA remembering.
Exactly. And we talked about that on the last episode. That DNA remembering around the campfire, telling stories around the campfire. Cool. Yeah, we had a great night. The last night, Boyd and Renius and Alex all told stories around the campfire, and I didn't want it to end, so I told a story. And they're master storytellers. They're masters. My story was like fresh, needed some work. But I didn't want it to end, so
that is another art form. Being able to tell a story around a fire, that's like another for some people have forgotten art form.
Absolutely. And Boyd's all about the storytelling. He's got an amazing podcast. Highly recommend it. Track of Your Life. A great podcast. The first 40 episodes are him up in a tree, where he spent 40 days and 40 nights in a tree house on Landolosi in Africa. And it's 40 episodes for 40 days. It's so good.
Wow.
Yeah. And then his most recent is The Art of the Storyteller. And he talks about being a storyteller and being around people who create stories. Put yourself in the position to meet story creators, story makers.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, he talks about going on this adventure, and he walks into this bar to meet his guide, and he's with all these people, and there's this guy sitting at the bar, and he's got 2 pints in front of him, and he's got one arm, and he sees Boyd and the group come in, and he goes, "Oh, that's my group." He slams one of the pints. He slams the other pint as he's walking toward them, and Boyd, and then he's got a little dog, Jack Russell Terrier with only one eye, and then he goes and introduces himself, and there's 12 people, and they all give their names, and he's just slammed 2 beers in 30 seconds. And then he goes around and goes, "Let me just get this straight. So you're Boyd, and you're Frank, and you're Alex." And he knew it. And then somebody asks him, "How'd you lose your arm?" And he says, "My dog bit me, so I ripped his eye out." So just be around storytellers.
Yeah, who is that guy? I want to know that guy.
Exactly. He's a guide just living his life in the bush. But yeah, since then I've wanted to be around storyteller or story creators, and I would say you are a person for whom stories happen around.
Yeah, it's funny enough because my brother and a few other people have affirmed to me recently of how fun it is to travel with me.
Yeah,
and I've been kind of reflecting on that, especially after our last trip to Hawaii. And there is something about the story maker / story creator that resonates with me. And it's because I think a lot of my travels are revolved around not expecting what's about to happen necessarily, other than it's going to be for what's the best, and to like follow the trail.
Yeah.
And I think it's why this tracking also resonates with me so much. It's like, I don't go on a vacation with like a itinerary.
Yeah.
I go to find like the first breadcrumb and go from there.
Yes, man. And what a great way to live life. It's like a lot of people say follow your passion or find your purpose. And I'm one of the very few fortunate people, I think, who have found their purpose. I think it's really dangerous to give that advice, though. Like, go find your purpose and just follow it. Like, dangerous. I think it's much, much better to say follow your curiosity, follow those tracks, follow those breadcrumbs, have fun with it. Let them lead you over here and then over here. And that's the kind of person for whom stories happen around. And Elizabeth Gilbert, amazing author, she wrote Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh, yeah.
She also wrote Big Magic, which is, I haven't read Eat, Pray, Love, but Big Magic is one of my favorites.
Oh, I want to check that one out then.
Big Magic is all about being a creator. And she says, we all have these hidden treasures buried deep, deep within us. The question is, will we have the courage to go on the hunt to uncover those treasures? A lot of us don't. But if you do, you're signing up for an extraordinary and maybe even enchanted life.
Yeah, and that, I'm curious how that might carry over to you for parenting, maybe in the past and in the present. Because that's one thing, since I have her here today in the studio, I definitely honor her curiosities more than my itinerary for what I think is best for her.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain parameters to keep her safe and healthy, but when she gets curious about something, I'm like, let's dive into that.
Yeah. I love the way you phrase that, honor the curiosity. Do you honor your own curiosities? I think you do.
I think a lot of time. I think I'm pretty good at that. Quite good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would stop you from honoring your curiosity?
What would stop me from honoring my curiosity? I'm imagining at this point in my life, it might be like logistics. Like parenting, school, like logistics like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That gets in the way of a lot of curiosity.
I know. And I am constantly focusing on ways, like creative ways for that not to be a stumbling block, but some sort of stepping stone.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to hop in my car to go drive 8 hours because something was curious at the other side of that 8 hours. And now it's 8 hours. Wait, you mean 2 hours? That still feels like a lot. So I've recognized that in myself over the last year or so. And I've been like noticing when that comes up and going, no. Like 25-year-old you would already be halfway there. Let's go. And like I said at the top of the show, it felt really good to say yes to myself, to my vision, to the elephant. It felt really, really good to say yes. And it doesn't have to be this like grand vision to another continent out of, this tracking lions. And so now I'm trying to bring that into, just doing that mountain bike ride with my friend who's asked me twice. Or my daughter, she wants to go to the trampoline park and it's 45 minutes away and it's,
I like how you just tied that into like these everyday curiosities. Because I think there is a potential for certain people, what I said, like logistics and such, to get in the way of daily curiosities because they're like assuming they'll get to it one day.
Yeah.
And that's a dangerous assumption.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it is. I think that feels right.
Do you have are you like experimenting? Like I experiment with different type of workout regimens. Are you experimenting with any type of regiments around this art form by any chance? Like once a day, I'm gonna follow a curious. Do you do anything like that?
Nothing regimented like that.
Okay.
But I sat with ayahuasca. I think I mentioned on our last episode, I sat with ayahuasca back in May, and it really taught me a lot about presence and awareness. And so I'm much more aware these days of when I'm out of presence or in presence. I'm much more aware of my thinking around, anything we could create an example for. And then the awareness leads to that opportunity to become more present. And so I would say that it's not like a regimen, but it's more of a kind of a mindset or just a way of being.
Yeah, and I resonate with that as well because as in Breaking Normal, I kind of throw this idea that awareness is the volume button of consciousness. And I think awareness is a great thing to aim for. I know you were telling people how dangerous it is to follow your passion. Another dangerous piece of advice I think I've heard is that like happiness is all that matters. This like idea of like the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical of that one because I see happiness as like a side effect. I don't see it as a thing to get attached to. Like it's a fleeting emotion of millions or infinite ones that can be more consistent.
Yeah.
I think as a side effect of doing something like being constantly curious about your passions.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think you're right. And I'd rather be fulfilled than happy. Last summer was one of the hardest summers of my life. And I wouldn't trade it for the happiest summer. I really wouldn't. Now, I don't want every summer to be that hard. But that was great for me. It was exactly what I needed. And pursuit of happiness there's something there for sure. And it's a privilege to even be able to think about pursuing happiness. When you see, we went to Soweto, the township in Johannesburg, not a very happy place. That's not true. People I met there were pretty happy, but they were dealing with a lot. But the ability to pursue happiness is a massive privilege. But yeah, I'd rather have fulfillment than happiness, I think.
Yeah, there's something, I think I interviewed, I don't know if you know a guy named Time Piercer. What's his actual name? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No. He sounds like a person who stories happen around.
Yeah, that is very true. And if I remember what he said, I thought, I was like, I agree with that. But he pursues effectiveness. And then he's happy from the results of that pursuit. But if he pursues happiness, that's not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
And it might be different for different people.
But effectiveness sounds like a recipe for, I'm glad that that's not my first and foremost.
And it might be like efficiency. It might be effectiveness. It might be like doing the highest leverage things.
Yeah.
Like what brings him most fulfillment. Let's just do that. That's the main priority. But yeah, these are all. I'm so curious about South Africa and so curious about this tracker type of lifestyle. And I think I somewhat maybe am naturally doing that in my own way because as we were talking about like the breadcrumbs and curiosities, a lot of times that's like it determines how I walk. Like sometimes I'll just get like a little hunch that I'm like, oh yeah, I want to go this way today.
Good for you.
Let's see what happens over here today.
Yeah, and going different ways. A lot of people, we get stuck in a path and we just wear down that path. Good for you for exploring and following your instincts. And like, that's a great example. I walk this way every single day. Let me just walk down the alley instead. See what's down there. It doesn't have to be a big, wild, extravagant thing.
Yeah, and I think the more I practice following those inklings, the stronger they seem to get.
Yeah.
Inklings. Just like when someone practices complaining a lot, it seems like they get more things to complain about.
Yeah, you're right. Inklings, those are like those little winks from above, right? It's like, hey, it's little little tap on the shoulder from above. I'd follow this.
Yeah.
A lot of us don't. And, Renius, when he was 10 years old, if there was an inkling, it might have saved his life. These days, it just makes us, meet a new person or see something in a different light, which is great.
And or save our life and not even know about it.
Absolutely.
You never know. It's just like if
Step off the curb.
something about getting on this path, you may have, you never know.
Butterfly effect all over the place.
How are we doing on timing? 45. All right. I am, I'm curious personally, and maybe we talk about this off the show, but I'm so curious about like the building of Hello Ned and how the acquisition of it, and like, what do you think? Because, I have a supplement company, and I'm even thinking about kind of creating a separate brand for a specific SKU that's much more scalable.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
So many questions around that. But is that part of what you're doing with coaching, or are you?
No, not really.
Yeah, you're doing.
I mean, it's all in there. Like, I got, a PhD in CPG, DTC. Yeah.
I didn't really think I was going to find myself in this world, but once again, following these curiosities, here I am.
Yeah. That's how it was for me as well. But yeah, happy to chop it up with you there. But I like the idea of having a company these days that's focused on one product, and that's all it is. And when you go on the website or when you talk with the buyer at the market, all you're talking about is one product. Like the more focused you are, the better these days, because there's so much out there, and people, even our Ned's website, come on there and there's topicals and magnesium and CBD, and there's balms and butters, and it's overwhelming, and people just want to go one place for one thing, unless it's Amazon. And that idea of, if you look around the direct to consumer space right now, it's the companies that just have one thing. They only do watermelon juice, or they only do this specific mushroom.
So when you think of a brand like Element, they are only doing one thing, but they have different flavors, but it's still just one thing that I know of. Maybe they're selling other things, but I don't know about them.
I don't think so.
Okay.
So that's a great example of, sure, have your different flavors, but just do hydration in one form really, really well.
I like that guidance, and because that's kind of what my curiosities are leading me to, is like finding a way to make our most wanted product as scalable as possible, and maybe even create a separate brand for it. Because right now, Tribe Vitamins, all of our products I think are the best, but there's a lot of different varieties. Our flagship is the Bison Liver Plus Heart. And then it seems like a lot of brands kind of mimic what we do. So then there's all of a sudden a competition.
Sure.
It's such a wild world out there, and it sounds like you're kind of out of that.
Out.
You're out.
I'm out. That's the most I've talked about direct consumer packaged goods in many months.
Do you I don't know also if you're like disclosing the details publicly about the acquisition and how much money was made or transacted. Curious about that, but also I'm curious about like your personal, because a lot of people think, and this was a topic on a previous podcast, but a lot of people think that, once I have this money, then like that might be one of those things they're putting all their curiosities off to until they get this money.
Totally. And I've been guilty of that as a pattern most of my entire life. When I have the money, then I'll do that. When I have the degree, then I'll do that. When she loves me, then I'll do that. And it's just a big way of hiding in that, of not being fully seen in yourself and waiting until then, because the goalposts always move. You say, as soon as I get that, then I'll do that. And then the goalpost moves, and you're never happy. You're never fulfilled. So it's a really tough pattern to get stuck in, and I spent a long time stuck in it.
And it sounds like though you may have gotten like the VIN.
I didn't.
You didn't.
No. Everybody assumes you sell business and you're buying a mansion or whatever, and not always the case. I did well, I did way better from a learning perspective. Like, it kind of is a shame that I'm not consulting in this space, because I learned so much about it. But what the greater value was learning about life and myself, and the when then is bullshit, and really about how to be a CEO in a business that's both on an absolute rocket ship up. You know, we just shot out of a cannon to struggling and having to lay people off and going through all of it. So the fact that I've led a business like that, and others as well, through the best of times and the worst of times, I mean, that's huge learning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mentioned last summer was the hardest summer of my life. It was for business reasons. And again, I'm really grateful I went through that. Otherwise, the exit wouldn't have been as valuable.
Sure.
And there's, you know, monetary value, there's soul value, there's creative value, there's educational value. And from when you layer in all of those, it was a fantastic outcome. But have I hit my number? No. But also my number has changed, and it means so much less to me now. Like, I don't need that number anymore. I did hit the when then. You know, when you finally stop hiding, then you can fully become yourself. And I am more authentically me than I've been since I was Davina's age. I am truly, truly me right now. And it feels really good. So, yeah, that's where I'm at.
It feels good to be with you, and thanks for jumping on the show again to share some more stories, because you are obviously stepping more into the story creator. It seems like every time I see you again.
Yeah.
Something new. I'm like, you did what? You're doing what? Wait, what?
Boyd just asked me to come back to South Africa to go explore this place called the Pondo Coast in January. And I didn't think I was going back to South Africa, but I immediately said yes.
The Pondo Coast. What is that?
Pondo, it's the coastline along eastern South Africa.
Eastern South Africa.
And it apparently, it's just all these rivers and ponds that flow right into the ocean. There's tons of cliff diving and swimming and water and ocean and huge waves that crash on you, and great food and epic, you know, just wild wilderness. So we're going to go hike that over the course of about 5 days in January.
What? So this is like a wilderness area.
Yeah.
This area sounds epic. I wonder about the surfing out there even. It might be worth, like, if I was on that hike to bring a surfboard, she's Louise.
Yeah. I'm gonna go learn everything I can.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Well, I agree with you too about you. You seem to be more yourself and more fulfilled and more on your path. And also every time I meet you. So
thank you, brother.
It's been really special to know you since the first day I came to Boulder.
Yeah. Till the very first.
Yeah. That was my first official night in Boulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We loved having you.
Who knew what that curiosity really cracked open a whole new world?
Yeah, it did.
Well, these wowzers.
Boulder would not be as great a place as it is without you guys.
Oh, well, thank you. Same with you, and same with so many people been on the show.
Yeah.
It's a really cool community here.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, man. Super fun. Let's get a fourth one in.
Yeah, and we'll put your usual Ret Taylor Instagram links in case someone wants to reach out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Instagram is at Ret Taylor _. So RET Taylor _. And then website's rettaylor.com.
Rettaylor.com. Ret Taylor. Yeah, I ran into someone the other day and they were saying like something like Ret knows everyone. Like, of course you know Ret. Like, they said something like that. I was like, yeah,
they could say the same about you.
Yeah, there's a few of us around here. So thanks for being a super connector and being you and breaking normal. Keep doing it, y'all.